You guys who know me know I love my planes, and got a beautiful collection now, nice set. I have this lovely number 4 bench plane or smoothing plane that I restored there a little while ago. I have this beautiful little block plane that I also restored a little while ago on video. So this is my smallest plane I have, and then this is the next size I have to this. So if we're stepping up from smallest to large, we go here, and then we go here. These tools work great, but what I didn't have was something in the middle. And today I finally found it. This incredible little piece was made in 1928, nearly 100 years old. And it is basically my block plane. It's a little bit longer than my block plane, and the way a block plane works is just you kind of cup it in your hand like this, and you usually have a divot here so your finger goes nicely, and that's kind of how you run the plane right there, which is very nice for smaller work. This is just a touch longer. I'll show you here, so let's match them up, and that's what you have out over. But you have that little handle and knob. This is just the cutest little plane for small jobs. Say you're working with picture frames, or you're building a little small box like I built recently for my daughter, or any little small work. This is so nice, and it's one I've been wanting for a while. I have a number 4 here, like we just talked about. Stanley also makes the number 3 and the number 2, which come before the block plane. Now, I have personally never seen either of those. I just know that they're out there, and I would imagine this is somewhere around that. I don't know where it falls in that scale, but it's lovely, and this is a beautiful rendition. It's in great shape. It doesn't have any adjustment wheels. You just have to manually adjust the blade by loosening this, but it's great. I can see right here we have 2 brass heads. This doesn't look brass, this wheel here. If we haul these out, the blade or the iron's in nice shape. What I can read on there is Wadsworth Tool Co. Alamein. Alamein, it looks like. So I haven't done any research on this yet. It sounds English to me. Wadsworth Tool Co. I would guess that it's English. Both the cap here, the lever, not really a lever cap in this one, but both the cap and the body are stamped 1928-2. So that would be the second quarter of year 1928. Isn't that something? So here we go, our restoration. Not many components to this plane, so it shouldn't be too bad at all. The iron has a nasty little dent in it, but I'm sure we can get that out. Okay, so the wood is good. That's usually the part that gets broke up, especially this rear handle. They always have these tabs broke off, or they're broke off, cracked or something. Check out that lovely little bit of brass. You know we're going to shine that up. This thing is a beauty. The brass is not corroded at all. Nothing's corroded there. This plane had to have been taken care of for a long time. It must have only recently got kind of this this dirty, rough shape, because for a plane to last this long and be this good a shape, I mean, it really, someone took care of it in their day, big time. Now, I don't usually, but I'm going to start off with the wood this time because I'm eager to show you guys a little trick. And normally, or I used to take these off, and you see all this old broken varnish. A lot of old saw handles and almost all the plane handles end up like this. This is why varnish or paint is not nice, because this happens to it. If it's just oiled wood, it doesn't change. Never changes, just gets better and better. But anything lacquer, anything with varnish in it gets like this. And I would have sanded it all down, which would have left me with a ton of work to get that finish back smooth again. And what I've started doing, or what I figured out a little while ago, is that some sort of a scraper Right here, I'm using a brand new utility knife blade. So just a standard breakaway blade. Just scraping it sort of horizontal, or like perpendicular like this, to the wood. And it just works amazing at scraping off that old varnish. Way easier than sanding. And you're left with a nice smooth finish. I'll just dust it over with a light bit of sandpaper and then oil it. So, if you want to save yourself a ton of time, I recommend you try out this trick. It's really nice. I've used it for gun stocks now and everything, and it just works so good. If the varnish is at all dried out, it'll just peel right away from the wood just like this. Just check this out again. Just have a look at how well that works. I know lots of you have probably tried this before. I've mentioned this before, I think, on another video, and some of you mentioned that a broken piece of glass or pottery works well as well. I'm sure it does. You can buy actual woodworking scrapers as well that I'm sure would be great. But I like utility knife blades. They're cheap, they're disposable, and they're really sharp. They work really nicely. Okay, so we have our plane all cleaned up. I cleaned up the outside on the wire wheel, and the inside I just gave it a spray down with some spray iron and gave it a good scrub with a rag, because that paint is just lovely in there. Still in good shape, so I'm going to keep it. This next part I find both the hardest and the easiest of the project, usually with restoring planes. That is flattening the sole, and it's the easiest because there's no real skill to it. You just keep your plane flat, you work it on a flat surface on some sandpaper until you get a nice even pattern, which I've talked about in plenty of other videos. The hard part about it is that it's often a lot of work. These planes wear slowly, so sometimes, especially if they're really bad out, you're sanding forever, it feels like, and it's just so boring because you're not really doing anything, you're just working the plane. The sole of this plane is actually probably the worst part of the plane. There's some deep score marks and stuff, which I'm not sure what it was ran over, but it's not very nice. So I'm just going to get to work here on 150 grit. That's the lowest I have. You could start lower, but this should be fine. Okay, so after what seemed like a long period of time, we have the sole of this plane almost perfectly flat, and we still have a few deep scratches up here and up here, but it's plenty good for use. Almost perfect, just a little bit more to take that out, but I'll leave that for a later date. The body of the plane inside is all lovely and clean, and I even went and sharpened the iron when I had the sandpaper out there. Whoever used it in the past made a much more shallow angle on it than it should have been. Extremely shallow angle. So I steepened that a little bit and took out that big dent. And now we're just about ready to put this plane back together. We just got to oil the wood. Just look how nice that came out. Gave it a little bit of light sanding after I scraped it, and that is just beautiful. Of course, we're going to use a little bit of boiled linseed oil, because at this point in my life, this is my oil of choice. Maybe that'll change in time, but just doing a light coat, not too heavy, because I'll coat it several times over the next few weeks, just to build in a good coating, let it really soak in there. Just look at that nice rich color now. This is turning out to be a fantastic. Get very excited over things like this because it's just such an awesome feeling to add a new piece like this to the collection. Once in a while you guys send in something, a key piece that I've been missing or something like that, and it's just so much fun to build your collection. I'm starting to get to the point where there's actually very few tools that I have left to acquire. I'm sure there's lots that I could acquire, but I was on eBay searching the other day, and there was nothing really. I would like to have a good, a couple shoulder planes. Probably a 3/4 inch width shoulder plane I'd really like to have. But you see them on eBay, they're way too expensive for me. Not in my price range. So if one of you guys have one you wouldn't mind selling, you can contact me. Maybe we could work something out there. Here we go. So look at our nice brass screws here that we're going to drop down in there. Ooh, that is a beautiful thing. Okay, let's find where we need to be. Good, that rattle came out. When I bought this plane just today, there was a chatter in the rear handle. Look how nice that looks already. Wow. That is tasty. Again, look at that brass screw going in there. Nice and tight, just look at that. Look at how nice that is. The lever cap here, I took most of the paint off of. The screw is all cleaned up. Let's get that razor sharp iron put in there. And our cap. Have it. My beautiful little plane. I'm not even sure what you'd call this thing. Not sure what the number is, what it's equivalent to. Maybe some of you guys would know a little better. 1928. And look at it. That's the beauty of hand tools right there. You just don't find that with power tools. You try to find a power tool made in 1928, it's going to be awfully hard to even find one. And this works as good as the day it came out of the factory. Just as good, perhaps even better. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you really want to help, please share the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to comment. We'll see you in the next one.